Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Chico Weekly. This is episode 2. What day? January 8th through January 14th is what this episode is on. What this week is on. Pretty good week in terms of fight announcements and, first event of the year. But we're going to get into all that. We're going to start with Sunday. Pretty an eventful day. Narulo Alayev will fight Rafael Alves. That has been announced for UFC Vegas 70 at February 25th. There was one other fight announced since Goram Kutaraladze pulled out last week. Thiago Moises will now fight Melquizael Costa. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name. That's been announced for January 21st, UFC 283. That's next week. That's in like 6 days now. That was Sunday. Again, not much happened on Sunday. We move on to Monday, where the guy we just talked about, the guy we just mentioned, Melquizael Costa was added to the roster. Also, Francisco Prado was added to the roster, the UFC roster. There were a few people that got removed as well, as Leah Letson and the infamous Mike Jackson got removed from the UFC roster. Obviously, Mike Jackson was the guy who beat CM Punk and the guy who got knocked out a couple months ago, who got in the altercation at the PI with Jake Shields, now being removed from the roster. Pretty interesting there. There was one fight to get announced on Monday that made Monday kind of somewhat eventful, at least. It was Sean Strickland stepping in on short notice to fight Nasruddin Imavov on 6 days' notice for January 14th. It is January 15th, so this fight already happened. Of course, the previous opponent, Kelvin Gastelum, pulled out from a mouth injury. He had to get surgery. He got a few teeth knocked out in sparring. I think it was from a knee or a few knees. And Sean Strickland stepped in. I'm going to tell you the results afterwards. That was Monday. We move on to Tuesday, where we had a few more roster changes. It was announced that a lot of people got added. Jimmy Flick was added to the roster. Mateus Mendonca was added to the roster. Mateusz Rebecki was added to the roster. Claudio Ribeiro was added to the roster. And Nick Aguirre was added to the roster as well. You were not supposed to see that. And I think a few fights got announced. Yeah. A few fights got announced. Let me scroll up. Try to see. Pretty sure this like mouse thing. Let me turn down the resistance. Is that something I should do? Like turn down the resistance? Look. No. Let me turn down the resistance so that you don't hear that as much. I did not mean to click that. But, okay, yeah, this is nice. I like this. Okay, yeah, now you can't hear that. So, of course, with this guy out, I don't know how to say his name, so I'm not going to try. Nick Aguirre stepped in. He got added to the roster as well. We mentioned that. And he will fight Dan Argueta. UFC. This fight already happened. This was announced for UFC Vegas 67 January 14th. And there was another fight that got announced that wasn't some kind of replacement. And it was, if we could find it, yes, this is a good one. Gunnar Nelson versus Daniel Rodriguez, announced for March 18th at UFC 286 in London. That's a pretty good fight, I can't lie. I'm pretty excited for that one. UFC seemed to have stacked 286 and 285 a lot in these past few weeks. They were building up to something special. And then, of course, we're going to get into that. We're going to go into Wednesday, another pretty uneventful day. On Wednesday, if we look here, Chris Duncan versus Michael Falak, announced for March 18th, UFC 286 pay-per-view in London. Also, Brad Tavares pulled out of this fight, so Gregory Rodriguez will now fight Bruno Ferreira at UFC 283, January 21st. That's next week. That's Wednesday. We move on to Thursday. And on Thursday, we had some unfortunate news. Yoel Alvarez had to pull out of his fight. That was meant to happen in Australia. I was really excited to watch him fight. It's kind of sad to see him obviously not fight anymore. But Jordan Wright versus Zach Pauga. it had got announced for February 18th. I think that's Vegas 70 or 71. I forgot. It doesn't say here, so I'm trying to go off of memory. But this is a good fight. Zach Pauga obviously was a finalist for the Ultimate Fighter season 30. Got knocked out by Muhammad Usman, so he did get second place, but he stays on the roster. He actually got a fight scheduled before Usman did, so that's something at least. We haven't heard anything from Muhammad Usman at all. So him fighting Jordan Wright, that's a good fight. I'm pretty excited for that fight. That's a fun one. Added to an already stacked fight night card. Also, another good fight that got announced. Number 15 featherweight Alex Caceres will take on Nate Landwehr for UFC San Antonio on March 25th. Nate Landwehr obviously took part in one of the nominees for 2022 UFC Fight of the Year against David Onama. Super fun, action-packed fight. Obviously, David Onama was meant to fight yesterday, but the fight got canceled. There are a few more fights that got announced, like the not the runner-up, but the actual Tough Season 30 winner for strawweight. Juliana Miller will fight Veronica Macedo March 18th, UFC 286, London pay-per-view. Yeah, that's a fun one for sure. Also, Carlston Harris will fight Ramiz Brahimaj for UFC Vegas 69 on February 18th, adding another fight to an already stacked card on Friday. Another pretty uneventful day. If we could find it, yeah. Steven Peterson, I like his tattoo, will fight Lucas Alexander for UFC San Antonio on March 25th. Also, another one, which was, yeah, so with Yoel Alvarez pulling out, Tukugov will now fight Elvis Brenner at UFC 284 on February 11th. And, oh yeah, I'm assuming Falak pulled out of his fight as well. And Saturday, this was easily the most eventful day of the week and even probably of the year so far. Definitely of the year so far. First off, we got the UFC Vegas 68 poster announced. This is the second poster they've made for Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak. The first one was incredible. This one looks pretty nice as well, in my opinion. That's the poster version. This is the horizontal version as well. Just some super nice looking posters there. And what else happened? Oh yeah, the results of the main event for Sean Strickland, Azardine Imavov. Sean Strickland came out with the unanimous decision win after a somewhat close, not that close, but somewhat close fight. I had the fight 49-46. I had Sean Strickland winning the first 4 rounds and Imavov barely taking the 5th. But yeah, there was no other result that could really be said other than Sean Strickland. I'm glad he won on every judge's scorecard. Glad he got the win as well. Yeah, but I'm gonna get into that card more in my review for it. These were my picks. Not very good picks to start off the year. I'm gonna get into it on the video. Also, the main event for KSI versus Face Temper. KSI won by first round knockout. With just a minute left, he was able to land that clean 2-3, and then that was it. So these are my picks. They were okay. They were kind of bad, honestly, compared to my other ones. Gonna get into that as well. Jesus, not a good day for picks for me. Not a good day for picks, but a good day for fight announcements. And yeah, just to start it off, right? This one was meant to come out. Don't look at that. This one was meant to come out. It was, let me see. Yeah, number 3 ranked lightweight Justin Gaethje versus number 7 ranked Rafael Fiziev or Fiziev. I still don't know what his last name is pronounced. Everybody says it differently. Was announced for UFC 286 March 18th in London. That's a super fun fight. It was also announced to be the co-main event. The main event was also announced. We're going to get into that. Also, the UFC Vegas 68 main card was made official. You got Derek Lewis, Sergey Spivak, Daeun Jung, Devin Clark, Marcin Tybura, Blagoy Ivanov. You got 4 ranked fighters on that card. Actually, 4 ranked heavyweights too, so that's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool to see. Here it is. This is what a lot of people were waiting for, and a lot of people were saying would have happened. Finally, we're seeing a John Jones fight. This is the number 7 pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now. John, I don't think he's number 7, is he? I don't think he's. Let me check the rankings. Actually, I think he keeps going down, and I think Aljamain Sterling passed him, whatever. John Jones is number 13. I'm sure that's gonna go up now that this fight is announced. But John Jones, number 13 pound for pound fighter in the UFC right now, former champion, youngest ever champion in the UFC at light heavyweight. Now moving up to heavyweight after a over 1,000-day layoff to fight against the number 1 heavyweight contender and former interim champion, who arguably beat Francis Ngannou in their fight. Ciryl Gane, they will fight at UFC 285 March 4th. A lot of people said John Jones wouldn't show up, but it seems like Ngannou's the one who isn't showing up, and we don't really know the details behind that. I'm not trying to point the blame on anybody right now because we really don't know. We haven't heard from Ngannou much. But nonetheless, this is a super exciting fight. Obviously, Ngannou was going to be an even better fight, but I'll take this. This is still super fun. I think this is better than the Stipe fight, if I'm honest. Stipe wants to come back to fight the winner of this for the belt. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. And what else happened? Oh, yeah. Leon Edwards, the current welterweight champion, will fight Kamaru Usman, the number 1 ranked welterweight contender, at UFC 286 March 18th, London. It is happening. Kamaru Usman may have been injured, may have not been injured. No, he was injured. Who knows? He's fighting nonetheless. He will make it. And Dana White announced all this. Also, what else happened? Francis Ngannou. Oh, that was okay. What else happened on Saturday? Or actually, no, this happened on Sunday. This happened today on Sunday. So technically, this is not January 14th. So I can't talk about that yet. But you know what happened. So pretty much, Francis Ngannou, right? Let me go to his page. Oh, you can't click it. Why can't you click Francis Ngannou? If we go to Francis Ngannou, I just gotta search him up manually. That's crazy. Yeah, Francis Ngannou. This is taking a bit too long. Yeah. Alright, Francis Ngannou, pretty much something that did get announced on Saturday was Francis Ngannou got released from his UFC contract. It was said by Dana White that the UFC offered him a deal that would have made him the highest paid heavyweight in UFC history, over guys like Brock Lesnar, Overeem, any other super popular guy at heavyweight, right? And he turned down that offer. So after around 2 years of negotiations, the UFC had decided to strip Ngannou of his heavyweight title, and now the before mentioned John Jones versus Ciryl Gane will be for the undisputed title, not the interim title. This will be for the undisputed real title. So with Ngannou now released from his contract, he will no longer fight in the UFC. And with the release of Ngannou, there has been a new opportunity open for the UFC as they did sign John Jones to an 8-fight deal. 8 fights. That's wild. 8 fights is pretty crazy, but yeah. Super crazy day. Obviously, this all got announced to us because of the leak from T-Mobile Arena. They announced this fight on their big billboard screen here. I mean, they really just put it out there. It got leaked during the KSI card. It got leaked during that. But yeah, Dana White was not happy about that, but the fans are very happy, including myself. Very happy to see that happen. Yeah, they could have made some super huge cool announcement during one of the pay-per-views. I think that would have been a lot better in my opinion, but this week was kind of dry with fights and all that. I mean, there was the Daniel Rodriguez, Gunnar Nelson. There was the tough season 30 people. There was the Caceres fight, the Gaethje fight. Other than that, not much happened apart from the roster additions. But yeah, that's pretty much it for week 2. January 8th through January 14th. That is Chico Weekly episode 2.